Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Tonya, and today we're going to be talking about what my most anticipated releases are for fantasy books for the rest of 2025. But before we do that, in the spirit of all things fall getting ready to start happening, I got one of the, if it'll focus there, Witch's Brew Alanis. And I thought we'd do a little taste test together because it is mid-afternoon on a Friday and I need a little pick-me-up. And I think this is supposed to be like caramel apple flavored, so we shall see how it is. It's actually not too bad. Now, it is super sweet, but you know those like suckers that are the green suckers with the caramel on it that are supposed to be like a caramel apple sucker? That's what this tastes like. So I don't think this is one you'd probably be able to drink all the time. At least I wouldn't. Like I said, super sweet, but you know, for a nice little treat on occasion this fall, I think it'll be good. I ended up just ordering like a case of the mini ones because I prefer to have the mini size off of Amazon. I think it was like 18 bucks, but I can leave a link to it if you want to give it a try down in the description box. But yeah, so now that I have tried my tasty beverage, go ahead and grab a tasty beverage of your own and we'll get started going over the books I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year. Now, I do have my iPad here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I believe I have 15 books, and I can't remember them all off the top of my head, so I need my iPad here as backup. But let's go ahead and start talking about the books I'm looking forward to. So we, of course, are going to start with September, since that is right around the corner. I'm filming this on Friday, what is today? The 28th, 29th? Friday the 29th, so on Monday it will indeed be September. And this first book we're going to talk about comes out on September 2nd, and that is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. And this is like kind of a prequel to her Divine Rivals duology, which I haven't read that duology yet. But from what I understand, you don't really have to. They are completely separate. They're just set in the same universe. So I thought that this one would be a good one to try out. And then if I like Rebecca Ross's writing and the world, then I will go ahead and pick up the Divine Rivals duology. But I thought this would be a good one to start with. It's about a goddess and a mortal. And this particular goddess is a messenger goddess, so that's her power, is that she basically takes care of all the messages for all the other gods. Kind of, you know, that is slightly Greek inspired by Hermes, but I guess we're getting Rebecca Ross's twist on that. But from what the synopsis said, I believe we're going to find out that her powers are actually more than she's led everyone to believe, and that puts her in danger with the other gods and goddesses in this particular world. And she also has some sort of relationship, which I think it's like a romantic relationship with a mortal as well. So thought the premise of the book sounded super interesting. And here's just a little piece of the synopsis for you. True love is more divine than any ruthless god. Born in the firelit domain of the underrealm, Matilda is the youngest goddess of her clan, blessed with humble messenger magic. But in a land where gods often kill each other to steal power and alliances break as quickly as they are forged, Matilda must come of age sooner than most. She may be known to carry words and letters through the realms, but she holds a secret she must hide from even her dearest of allies to ensure her survival. And to complicate matters, there is a mortal boy who dreams of her, despite the fact they have never met in the waking world. So yeah, I just thought the premise of this sounded super cute, and I like the idea of, you know, this being a story about a goddess and a mortal, and just seeing how that all plays out. So this one comes out on September 2nd, and I will definitely be picking it up. I don't know if I'll grab it right when it comes out, but it's definitely on my radar. And next up, we're going to talk about Alchemist, which comes out on September 23rd and was written by Sin Lin Yu. And this particular book is based off some sort of fan fiction. I believe whatever the fan fiction is has now been taken down. So the book that is coming out is going to be all that is left. This is supposed to be a pretty intense book from everything that I've heard about it. So I do think that it could be an interesting read, and also just for this time of year, based on what the book's about, it could be a good like fall kind of read. And here's a little bit of the synopsis for this one. Once a promising alchemist, Helena is now a prisoner of war and of her own mind. Her resistance friends and allies have been brutally murdered, her abilities suppressed, and the world she knew destroyed. In the aftermath of a long war, Palladia's new ruling class of corrupt guild families and depraved necromancers, whose vile undead creatures help bring about their victory, holds Helena captive. But I like the different, like, kind of dark gothic aspects of it that the synopsis alludes to. So definitely on my radar to pick this one up and hopefully get to this fall. And then on September 25th, we have The Primal of Blood and Bone coming out by Jennifer Armentrout. And this is the 6th and I believe final book in her Blood and Ash series. And I've been waiting on this book to come out for a long time. I've read the previous 5 books, and we kind of got left on a huge cliffhanger in the 5th book. Just for a little background on what the book is we're following Poppy and Castile. And Poppy was basically a princess, but she was a princess kept in hiding. And she was kept in hiding because at some point she was basically going to be a human sacrifice to, you know, keep the realm safe. And she's always, you know, kind of accepted this destiny in a way, but in the back of her head, you know, didn't want this to be what her life was all about. So as it gets closer to when, you know, her ceremony's supposed to take place, she ends up getting kidnapped and taken by this other group of people who are supposed to be dark and evil and, you know, bad for the realm and going to bring about destruction. And things kind of progress, and, you know, we learn things about Poppy, and we learn things about Castile and where he's come from, and just a lot goes on. I don't want to go into too much detail because since it is the final book in a series, you know, I can't say much without spoiling the series. But what I will say is I've really enjoyed this series. I listened to the audiobooks, so I'm going to listen to this one that way as well. Now, they are super spicy, and there's themes in them that not everyone may be comfortable with, so you would definitely want to kind of check out, you know, the trigger warnings and things like that before you read this book. I didn't find any of it. I mean, some of it was a little outrageous, but I didn't find any of it like too offensive. But if spice is not your cup of tea, then you're not going to enjoy this series. But if you don't mind spice in a book, then I do think that it is a really interesting series. It's pretty fast paced. There's a lot going on, and I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, if spice is not for you, then you should just plan on not reading this series, but it's definitely one I plan to pick up. And then I think I have one more in September. Yes. So coming out on September 30th is a novella, and it is Holly, which is in the Belladonna series. And I'm just currently listening to Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I'm doing the audiobook. And it's a gothic romantasy. I believe it's YA, at least this first book has felt like, as far as the romance, has been very YA. There are some dark themes in it, it being that gothic romance. All I'll say is there's at least in Belladonna, there's a scene describing poisoning and a tongue, and it's a lot. But overall, I've really enjoyed that book, so I'm looking forward to this novella as well. It's a Christmas themed novella, so I've got some time to get through the other two books. That way, even though this novella comes out in September, I probably wouldn't pick it up to December anyway, since it is holiday themed. So I've got some time to get to the other two books in this series so I can pick up this novella. But yeah, I've really been enjoying it. Like I said, I'm doing the audio of this one, and the narrator's been great on it. So definitely, if you like kind of like a gothic romantasy, like, you know, Rachel Gillig, something along those lines, then you'll probably enjoy this series as well. Then on October 7th, Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber comes out. And this is one that I thought looked really interesting as well. I haven't yet read anything from Stephanie Garber, but I have the first book in her Caravel series on my TBR for September. I'm definitely going to be getting introduced to her writing, but I haven't as of yet read any of her books. Now, this particular book is her first adult fantasy book. Everything else she has written has been YA, so this will be her debut adult novel. And also, if you are a member of Book of the Month, they actually are getting an early release of this book, so this is the book that I picked for my September Book of the Month. So if you are a Book of the Month member, you have a chance to grab this a month early, so that's super nice. And you don't have a Book of the Month subscription and it's something you're interested in, I always have a referral link down in the description box. If you use my link, you get your first book for $5, and then I also get a credit towards the book. So it's not sponsored, but I do really enjoy the subscription, especially for reasons like this. You do sometimes get books early, or you get the option to do special editions, and the price on the books is generally better than if you went to the bookstore to pick it up. If you're not already a Book of the Month member and you're interested, just check out that link down below. Back to Alchemy of Secrets. So I don't know a ton about the book, but I will give you a little bit of the synopsis. I do think it does sound really interesting. I did order this book this month, so it should be getting here in a couple of days. So very excited about that. It starts with a class in an old movie theater. Folklore 517, local legends and urban myths taught by a woman called the Professor. Most students believe the Professor's stories are just fiction, but Holland St. James has always been convinced that magic is real. When she tracks down a local legend named the Watchman, who can supposedly tell you when you'll die, the world finally makes sense. Except that the Watchman tells her she will die at midnight tomorrow unless she finds an ancient object called the alchemical heart. With the clock ticking, Holland is pulled deeper into this magical world and the heart of Los Angeles, and into the path of a magnetic stranger. So, very interesting synopsis. Our heroine here is definitely on a ticking time frame. And I like that it's an urban fantasy, and we have this little twist that it's all starting off from a class in an old movie theater. So premise sounds really good, and definitely looking forward to reading this one. Then another release I'm looking forward to in October is The Finest Edge of Twilight by R.A. Salvatore. And this is one where I was fortunate enough to get an e-arc of it. It's on my TBR for September, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to absolutely love it and will want to pick up a physical copy of the book as well. If you're not familiar with R.A. Salvatore, he's like a classic epic fantasy writer. He's wrote a lot of books for the Forgotten Realms franchise, which if you've heard of Dungeons and Dragons, it goes along with that. But he has a few different series out there, but his most famous series that he's known for is about a dark elf named Dritz Duerden. And this new book that's coming out is about Dritz's daughter. So I have always been a Dritz Do'Urden fan, so I've just been super excited to pick up this book that's going to be about his daughter. And here's a little bit of the synopsis for this one. My name is not Dritz's daughter. Breezy Do'Urden is more than just the heir of legendary heroes. For the past decade, she has dedicated herself to the study of combat, magic, and more recently, to the elusive way of shadow, honing her body and mind into a keen and singular weapon. But even after years of effort, her parents, Dritz and Canterbury, struggle to see Breezy as more than just their little girl. Determined to prove them wrong, Breezy takes on the most intense challenge she can, to fight her way to become a master of dragons at the renowned monastery of the Yellow Rose. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Westbridge, Dahlia Sinfell plots her rise to power. Once a broken soul, Dahlia has few friends and fewer options to make her way through the world. But Dahlia believes she has discovered a new path to restored glory, the transformative charm and cunning of a vampire. With every step toward immortality, she consolidates her influence, building an empire from the darkness, even as she contends with her own monstrous instincts and her complicated past with Breezy's family. So, definitely sounds like a good book. Like I said, if you love Dritz Do'Urden, then you're probably going to pick this up. Or if you are just a lover of fantasy and elves and magic, and all those traditional elements, then this would also be a good book for you, as well as the whole Dritz Do'Urden series. He's been writing that character for like ever now. Definitely, I'm trying to think, 30 years? Maybe longer. He's been writing Dritz books for a really long time, and it's just a really beloved character, and I'm glad he's kind of found a way to continue the story and make it like fresh for possibly another generation who isn't as familiar with Dritz as many of us other fantasy lovers are. Then another book I'm super excited about that's coming out in October on the 28th is Wrath of the Fallen by Amber Nicole, and that is the 4th book in the Gods and Monsters series. And I started reading this series in July, and I have absolutely loved it. It's such a cool world and such a unique magic system. The characters in it are just fierce to the core. Diana, who is the main female character, she will tell you her thoughts on anything. She is not afraid to not only be feminine, but also to be just like a total badass with a kind heart that she hides inside. And then the male main character, Sam Kyle, is this bigger than life god who survived all these horrible things, and it is an urban fantasy, so we do have some modern technology in it, but then we have a lot of different creatures and things in it as well. There are vampires and witches and werewolves, so just a really cool world and a really just amazing book series. It will totally destroy you as it has done to me in every single book so far. I am sure the 4th book will be no different, but if you're an urban romantasy fan, it's a great series. The books are longer, but they're worth it, and you can just plan to be wrecked emotionally with every book that you read. Then the final book I wanted to mention in October is The Book of Autumn, and that comes out on October 25th. And this one I'm super excited about too. I feel like I'm saying I'm super excited about all these books, but I am, because I love books. But this book I actually do have an ARC of as well, and I'm hoping to read it in September. And I picked it out solely based on the name because it, said autumn. I'm ready for all the fall vibes. Fall is my favorite time of year. So anything related to fall, I'm going to be all about. But I have since looked over the synopsis, and it does sound like a really cool book. And I'll share a little bit of that with you. Try as she might, anthropologist Marcella Gibbons can't escape the fact that she's a dim diem. one half of the formidable pair of magicians, forever tied together to enable the other's powers. After a tumultuous final year at Sanford and Brown College of Agriculture and Magic in rural New Mexico, Sella felt more than a little uneasy about returning to the sun-drenched desert campus ever again. She'd cut ties with her other half, the charming and rugged rancher Max Middlemore, and sworn off magic, academia, and the heartache for good. Until Max turns up at her door, grinning under his cowboy hat for one last favor. Something is shifting at her alma mater, something bigger than anyone understands. One student is dead, another is floating midair in the infirmary, growling guttural nonsense and terrifying the staff. Their best, perhaps only chance to intervene requires Sella and Max to do work together. But the origins of the disturbances lie centuries ago. To unravel them, Sella will have to confront the truth about her past and Max, because she might be challenging a power she could never rival alone. So, definitely like how that sounds. I still have no idea what it has to do with autumn, but I'm still here for it. I guess hopefully as I read the book, I will find out if there is indeed any fall vibes. But even if there is not, I just think it sounds like a really interesting concept. You got a little bit of the dark academia vibe going on, so I'm sure it'll be a great read. Then moving on to November. On November 18th, we have Brimstone by Callie Hart coming out, and I can't wait for this one. I loved Quicksilver. It's one of my favorite books that I've read in the last year. I just loved the world building, the magic system. I love the banter. The side characters in Quicksilver were absolutely amazing. And just a little bit of background about Quicksilver, because we can't really say too much about Brimstone itself. We're following a girl named Sarah Spain, and she has lived a hard life. She has been raising her brother since her mother was killed for helping out rebels in this city where it's basically broken up by classes, and she's in the bottom class. You know, they're rationed on water, they're rationed on food. It's really hot, dry, just a really poor section of the city. And to kind of get herself in a better place, she ends up stealing this piece of armor for one of the queen's guards. And as you can imagine, that is frowned upon. So, you know, different things kind of come into play, and she ends up being captured and brought to the queen. And when that happens, she finds out that she has this magical power, and she opens up a portal to the Fae world, and Kingfisher steps through this portal, who is a Fae warrior, and basically takes her through it in order to save her from dying, you know, where she's been taken captive by the queen. And this world has a super interesting magic system. What Ceres is something called an alchemist, which means she can work with different metals and kind of pool them, kind of like a smith would. She can shape metals into different magical kind of creations. So really interesting magic system. And then, like I said, the male main character is Kingfisher. He basically gets called Fisher the whole time, which is way better than Kingfisher because you think of the bird. But Fisher and Ceres have just the most amazing banter. It's really sarcastic and kind of quick-witted, and you know, they don't take crap from each other, and that definitely shows in their relationship. But I am sarcastic by nature, so I can really appreciate that banter. And the side characters played a big role in Quicksilver also, and I really found that enjoyable as well. All of the side characters were great. So it, of course, as most books do, ended on a huge cliffhanger, so I can't wait to see what happens in Brimstone. And this is one of my highest anticipated releases for the whole year. I can't wait to pick it up. I've already purchased the Target special edition, so hopefully it gets here right on release day. And it's a gorgeous book, so yeah, this is definitely one of my top releases for the rest of the year. Then also coming out on November 18th is I, Medusa by Ayanna Gray. And this is a Medusa story retelling, and I like all things Greek mythology, so I am sure this is going to be right up my alley. But it's basically Medusa with a twist. I don't think this is going to be one where we're thinking Medusa is horrible at the end, but hopefully it gives us a little different take on Medusa as a whole. And I'll read you a little bit of the synopsis so you can kind of get a feel for the tone of the book. Meddy has spent her whole life as a footnote in someone else's story, out of place next to her beautiful, immortal sisters and parents, both gods, albeit minor ones. She dreams of leaving her family's island for a life of adventure. So when she catches the eye of the goddess Athena, who invites her to train as an esteemed priestess in her temple, Meddy leaps at the chance to see the world beyond her home. In the colorful market streets of Athens and the clandestine chambers of the temple, Meddy flourishes in her role as Athena's favorite acolyte, getting her first taste of purpose and power. But when she is noticed by another Olympian, Poseidon, the course of Meddy's promising future is suddenly and irrevocably altered. When her locks are transformed into snakes as punishments for a crime she did not commit, Medusa must embrace a new identity, not as a victim, but as a vigilante, and with it, the chance to write her own story as mortal, martyr, and myth. So I think this book sounds amazing. Like I said, Greek mythology, I eat it up. I think it could be nice to, kind of hear a story about Medusa that isn't, Clash of the Titans, cut off her head, throw it in a bag kind of deal. So I think this sounds like, it'll be pretty far away from that tale of Medusa. So if you're someone who likes Greek mythology, I would suggest picking this one up. Yeah, I just think it sounds super, super interesting. Then coming out on November 25th is Fallen Stars by Imani Iru, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but I think I'm pretty close. And this is the second book in the Heavenly Bodies series, and I haven't read Heavenly Bodies yet. It's one that's been on my list for the last few months, and I need to make a point of getting to it. I would like to get to it before the second book comes out, but if that doesn't happen, that's okay. There's tons of books I want to read, so I'll definitely get to it though. But this book, Heavenly Bodies itself, has just kind of a different magic system, and another one that's just really interesting, especially if you're someone who loves astrology, because there's a lot of astrological references from what I understand in Heavenly Bodies. And basically the premises of Heavenly Bodies is we're following a girl named Alara, and she has been cursed by fate. And she has it's been foretold in a prophecy that she will fall in love with a star, which is kind of like a god in this particular world. And when they fall in love together, it will end up killing them both. And just as I said, there's a lot of different astrological references from what I've heard, and there's supposed to be a lot of great banter. So Heavenly Bodies is definitely on my list, which in turn has made Fallen Stars also on my list. I don't think there's any question whether I'm going to enjoy Heavenly Bodies, so I definitely think I'll be picking up the sequel. But yeah, that comes out on 11/25. Then also coming out on 11/25 is the fourth book in the Legacy series by Melissa K. Rorick. And that one is called The Dawn of Chaos and Fury. And this is another one where I haven't read the series yet, but it's definitely on my list to read. I was someone who, before this year, I would have told you I was someone who did not like reading urban fantasies. But then this year, two of my favorite series that I've read, Gods and Monsters, and then I'm reading the Crescent City series, both urban fantasies, have loved them both. So Who knew? I do actually like urban fantasies. So based on the fact that I have found out that I do indeed enjoy urban fantasies, this book is definitely on my radar. The whole Legacy series is. You can get it on Kindle Unlimited, which that makes it even better. And then if I enjoy it, I can of course pick up the physical copies. But this is definitely one that I'm planning to get to. I don't know if I'll make it through the whole series this year, but glad that since this is coming out November, so at whatever point I do start it, I can just, devour the whole series at once. Then, as far as I could see, there's not a lot coming out in December. I'm sure that's, maybe it's not as popular as a release time with the holidays and all that. But I did have 3 books I wanted to mention. Now, one of these I've already read, and that's the first one I want to talk about. It's We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark. And that one comes out on December 30th, so right at the end of the year. And if you're a fan of Stasia Stark's writing, so if you've read like the Kingdom of Lies series or any of her other works, then I think you'll like this one. Now, it is a little bit of a different turn. So this is more of like a Roman-inspired world, which is ruled by vampires, which that's kind of a twist. We're following Arvel, who has always been known for her fighting skills. When she was younger, she won this tournament competition called the Sands, and she's kind of been known for that and has been working as a bodyguard, raising her brothers these last few years. But things kind of come to turn, and she ends up making this blood oath with a vampire in order to try to save her youngest brother, who has a lung disease that he needs to be able to get to a healer to get treatment for, or he's probably going to eventually pass away. So she makes this blood oath with this vampire, which pulls her into this trials competition for the emperor, who is a vampire who the person she's made the blood oath with wants her to eventually kill. So definitely gets herself into kind of this tangled up situation. There's hints at a love triangle in this book as well. Nothing really happened where I can say for sure that it's going to be a love triangle. This is a first book in a series, but you kind of get whiffs that there might be a love triangle. And the romance that is in this book is more, I would say, on the slow burn scale. So there is a little bit of spice, but not a ton. But if you like vampire books and you like Stasia Stark, it's definitely one to pick up. Then also coming out on December 30th is An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. And this one sounded really cool as well. It's a dark academia setting, but in our modern world. And the little blurb for this one, because I hadn't really heard too much about it, but when I was researching new releases for the rest of the year, this one came up, and then after I read the little blurb on it, I knew that I was going to be wanting to read it. But here's a little bit about what the book's about. Warner University has stood among the Ivy elite for centuries, built on the bones and forbidden magic of its most prized BIPOC students, hiding the rot of a secret society that will do anything to keep their own powers burning bright, no matter who they must sacrifice along the way. Ellery Morgan is determined to prove that she belongs at Warren University, an Ivy League school whose history is deeply linked to occult rumors and dark secrets. But as she settles into her freshman year, something about the ornate buildings in the shadowy past feels strangely familiar, and with every passing day, the sense of déjà vu grows increasingly sinister. Despite all logic, despite all reason, despite all the rules of reality, Ellery knows one thing to be true. She has been here before. And if she can't convince brooding legacy student Hudson Graves to help her remember a past that seems determined to slip through her fingers as if by some insidious magic, this time she may lose herself for good. So I'm not sure if this is like reincarnation based, if it's, just she's had some sort of magical past that she doesn't remember, but if she's a freshman, in theory, she hasn't been alive that long, so I don't know how that would work, or if there's time travel or what's going on, but sounds like a really cool concept, and I'm always up for a dark academia kind of setting. And I have one more here. Apparently I went a little out of order for December, and I did my December 30th releases before the December 2nd release. But if that's the only mistake I made, then I feel like I did a really good job here. So coming out on December 2nd is The Library of Fates, and it is by Margot Harrison. And for this one, it's set in a library, and we're following two college former classmates as they try to find this particular magical book after the library's keeper dies. So I'm going to read you just a little bit of the synopsis because it explains things much better than I can. So here's a little bit about the book. When its librarian keeper mysteriously dies, two former classmates must race to locate a rare book from their college years that can foretell your future if you confess a secret from your past. But someone is intent on protecting what's hidden inside. The Library of Fates was designed to show you who you are and who you could become. Its rarest book, the Book of the Dark Nights, holds a secret. When you write an intimate confession on its pages, you'll receive a prediction for your future penned in your own handwriting. So, definitely sounds like a cool kind of world. Library settings are always a good time. I don't know if you ever watched, like there was it TBS? It may have been TBS. It's been a few years because, alas, I am in my 40s. But there used to be a series that I believe was on TBS, and it starred Noah Wyle in it. And there was like these short little movies called The Librarians. And they were just super cute, and basically, the library held all these magical secrets, and the librarians were like superhero librarians who had to keep the world safe and hide all these treasures. The librarians were kind of in this like secret society. So this synopsis reminds me of that series. So it's just something that I want to pick up, kind of step back into that world of a magical library that holds all sorts of deep, dark secrets and can do amazing things. So I plan to pick this one up at some point just because I think it'll be kind of a fun little read. So that is all of the new releases that I wanted to mention today. These are the ones that are kind of at the top of my radar. This, of course, is not an all-inclusive list. It's just kind of the ones that I'm looking forward to. If you have a new release you're looking forward to that I didn't mention, leave me a comment down below so I can check it out and see if it's something I would want to read as well. And if you did make it this far in the video, leave me either a book emoji because we talked about so many new releases, or a fall leaf emoji because we are entering into the most wondrous time of the year. And I always love to see who made it to the end of my videos. So take care, keep reading, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.